Today I want to take a look at this 1600 amp DeWalt jump pack. Now I needed 1600 peak amps to start big V8 diesels. Most of the packs I was shopping around and finding were only 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, 600 amps. And that might be enough to help a weak battery, but when you've got a diesel with a weak battery, it really needs a lot of power to crank that engine. Initially, I was shopping around for a jump and carry, but they're hard to find locally, so I ended up settling with what I could find. This one was over at the big orange box store, and I wasn't really thrilled with all the extra features as far as compressor, AC power, USB, because all I need it for is just to go out in the lot and jumpstart trucks. But then I started thinking about it, and if I get a truck with a flat tire, I can take this out there, inflate that tire, jumpstart it, move it into the shop. And I also think this is going to be a great jump pack to have in the aircraft hangar, on a boat, to take camping, and around the house in general. So let's take a look at what's inside the box. All right, looks like some instructions. And the jumper pack itself. Well, there we go. Okay, so it's included with this charger. I kind of wasn't a fan of this. I was thinking that I would rather have the jump and carry style where you just plug an extension cord into it. But now that I'm thinking about it, that's kind of nice to not have a big bulky extension cord sitting on your workbench. So on this side, we've got the battery jumpers, and you kind of just get the cable out there and then they fold down. And there's your jumpers. I think that's kind of a neat way of storing these, to have them kind of fold in there. Okay, and on this side, we've got the air compressor. And that's just gonna screw on to your valve stem, so there's no finicky levers or anything like that. So we got some buttons on the front here. We've got a button for the USB power. Now the lights are on, so we can plug in something and get power off of that. And let's go ahead and test that with my light here. So we'll just plug that dude in. And let's see if it powers it up. Perfect. So that works. Air compressor. And what we're going to do is set the pressure we need it to be set at. So that's 50 psi. And then we'll hit air again. Okay, that works. Okay, and now I got this light here, and let's give a quick check of the AC power. So we're going to push the AC button until it turns on. And I can hear a little fan in there that's cooling off the inverter. So let's flip that out of the way and plug in our light. All right, AC power works. Then we can just turn it off. And you got a little dust cover keeping that out of there. And then we have the work light around the back that turns on with a button and turns off. While we're around back, here's our charging port. So this is just going to go in there, and that's just going to plug right in the wall. Now our instructions do say this needs to be charged right out of the box, so I'll go ahead and do that before we start trying to jumpstart things. Okay, so it's been snowing out and I need to clear the driveway. But the first thing I want to do is check the tire pressure in the tractor, and let's make sure that it's set up right. This will be a good test for the air compressor. So we're going to turn on air. Now these go to 11 psi. Let's see. Oh, it does go that low, so it goes as low as... Let's see what's in the tire. 1.9. Let's try this. Okay, so that takes a little while, and I don't know if that's because there's a leak in the tire somewhere, but you could see it actually slowed down there at the last minute while it was going to try to top that off, but it never quite made it. So we'll have to play with that a little more and see what we think. Well, this will make a good test for the jump starter. Okay, so the one thing we saw there is that it actually needed to detect the need for a jump start before it would provide the power for a jump start. But once it did, it jumped it right over. Dang it. All right, it's got a dead battery. I'm not quite sure how it's going to do with diesels, so let's go ahead and give it a real world test. I got a 6.7 here that won't crank, so let's see how it does. I can do this one-handed without shorting them out. So here's one thing I like about these is the jaw opens nice and big to get around these battery clamps. Let's try to get it on some clean metal there. Might have to go get my wire brush. Okay, that's it. You don't have to do anything else here. And let's see if this has enough juice to crank over a 6.7 liter Ford diesel. So there we go, that worked out perfect. It started up the 6.7 liter diesel. Now let's put it away and pull this truck in. I gotta pull the cylinder head off. Okay, so there it is. It had the power to crank over a diesel. I'm pretty impressed. With a 1600 amp rating, it's not all that surprising because I have used smaller jump packs to crank over diesels. As long as they're not completely dead, you just need that third full battery to provide enough life to crank them over. For cars, boats, the airplane, I think this thing would have no problem cranking over any of that. I think the air compressor will be handy. I think the 110 volt adapters are handy for camping and on the boat. And I think the USB chargers are handy for any kind of outdoor activity where you're going to take this thing and you're going to need that supplemental power when you don't have access to a grid. So in the end, I would recommend it as a viable jump starter with the extra features. But I hope today's review helped show you the features, how it works, and let you make a better judgment call of whether or not this jump starter pack is for you. Well, thank you all for watching. If you like this kind of DIY stuff, give me a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.